Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everybody. As always, Joe Nice, live and direct on a February 1st, 2021, the beginning of Black History Month in the year 2021. Just a brief update, let me try that again. Jesus, I can't even fucking talk today. We're going to try this whole shit all over again. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everybody. Joe Nice coming to you as always, live and direct on a February 1st, 2021, the beginning of Black History Month. Don't have a whole lot of time today. Quite busy. I've got a couple of appointments that I need to stay on time and on task for. Just want to update you with regards to everything that I will be doing this month. This is basically going to be a replay of the brief Sunday night chat that I did last night, but a whole bunch of you did not see it, so I'm doing it again now by normally scheduled time because I want people to understand what's going to happen over the next 28 days and beyond. Tomorrow, Cat Wells and I are going to do episode number 34 of the Joe and Cat Chat. We are going to discuss women and the civil rights movement. We only have an hour to do the episode, but there's probably 50 women we could talk about, but we're going to limit the conversation between 10 and 15 women. Some of the women she and I will discuss are Sojourner Truth, Harriet Tubman, Fannie Lou Hamer, Rosa Parks, Viola Desmond. For all our Canadian brothers and sisters, you should know who Viola Desmond is. Mary McLeod Bethune, Shirley Chisholm, Madam C.J. Walker, Lorraine Hansberry. So that's going to be tomorrow's episode. There's going to be a few other women that are going to be part of the discussion, like Maya Angelou. So tomorrow, Joe and Cat Chats, 3:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Watch the episode live right here on the streaming service on StreamYard. You can watch it here on Facebook.com/JoeNiceDJ, Instagram, not on Instagram, Facebook.com/JoeNice, and YouTube.com/JoeNiceDJ. Following week on the Joe and Cat Chat series will be episode number 35 of the Joe and Cat Chat series. This is an episode that I'm already going to be extremely excited for. It's Black music. Black music. What are the roots of Black music? We're going to talk about spirituals and how they're important to the historical development of Black music in the United States. What about jazz? We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about other types of music that are indigenous to North America and the Caribbean, like reggae, dub, mento, calypso, soca. What about rhythm and blues, soul music? What about hip hop? We're going to talk about all of that next week. We're going to talk about some of the influential musicians from each genre that played a role in the development of each of those genres that I just mentioned, and how their music contributed to the civil rights movement. You know, if we're going to talk about soul music, we obviously have to have a discussion about Aretha Franklin. How is her music developmental and important in the civil rights movement? If we're going to talk about the Queen of Soul, we also have to talk about the Godfather of Soul, James Brown. What did he mean to not only music, but the civil rights movement? Aretha Franklin had a song called R-E-S-P-E-C-T, Respect. James Brown said, I don't want nobody to give me nothing. Open up the door, I'll get it myself. James Brown said, say it loud, I'm Black and I'm proud. What are the connections between him and Miles Davis and John Coltrane? Especially the Kind of Blue album. Obviously, we're going to have some sort of discussion about gospel music. So much of Aretha Franklin and people like Marvin Gaye come from the tradition of the Black church, specifically the Baptist church. Aretha Franklin's father, the legendary C.L. Franklin, is one of the greatest preachers in the history of the Black church, from out of Detroit, Michigan. When you think about Detroit, Michigan, you're obviously going to think about Motown Records. And look at the legacy of magnificent Black musicians that have come from Motown Records. What about Stevie Wonder and his influence in music. Because again, if we're going to talk about Aretha and obviously Marvin and everything that he did in the 70s, we obviously have to talk about Stevie and everything that he did in the 70s. It's important. It's absolutely important. What about hip hop? What about Grandmaster Flash and the Furious Five, The Message? What about Public Enemy, Fight the Power? What about everything KRS-One has said over our 40 years career in hip hop? Again, we're going to discuss a lot about Black music. A lot. What about, when Marvin Gaye said Save the Children off the What's Going On album? When he got on the microphone and said, who really cares? Who's willing to try to save a world that is destined to die? When I look at the world, it fills me with sorrow. Little children today, will they suffer tomorrow? Oh, what a shame. What a bad way to be. Who is to blame if we can't stop living? And as I said earlier, Marvin Gaye comes from the tradition of the Black church. Off that same album, the What's Going On album, he said, don't go and talk about my father. God is my friend. Whether or not you know it, he will forgive all our sins. And all he asks of us is to give each other love. Maybe, we got some people in the chat throwing up Ryan Bear house music. Maybe we can discuss some house music. Why not? Why not? Crystal Waters said, back to the rhythm and around again. I'm going to be there till the end, 100%. Pure love. Kashmir said, feeling so good. Oh, what should I do? What should I do? Try to make things all right, but they turn out wrong. I need a place to run and hide, relax a while and clear my mind, and dream of brighter days. Elias sung, I'm hoping we see the day when my people can all relate. We must stop fighting to achieve the peace that was fought in our country. We should all be free. Follow me. Why don't you follow me? So we can give you some house music if you want to go that way too. We can do it all. We can do it all, brother. February 9th, Real Fear and Loving with Main Man Ranch, Chris Foltz, Cat Wells, Rue Johnson, and maybe a couple of other guests. We're going to have a panel discussion for a quick 60 actually, about intersectionality and unity. What does it mean to unite? What does it mean to put our differences aside and come together? What are our common interests? What are our differences? How do we find the similarities in our common interests? How do we work to resolve our differences? Sometime in this month, my guy Theo Friedman, he's an independent journalist out of Leeds, England. He and I did a wonderful video chat for a 1,500 to 2,000 word piece for news and culture website called The State of the Arts. You can watch them and follow them at TSOT Arts on Instagram and Twitter. You can follow them on Facebook at The State of the Arts. You can go to their website at thestateofthearts.co.uk. It's a wonderful interview about my involvement in electronic dance music, specifically dubstep, about community building, some of the work that I've done at both stops at graduate school and the political climate in the United States and the socio-political issues that are taking place around the world. It's a wonderful conversation. I have the entire 2-hour video. I'll start posting up clips as the interview gets closer to the release date. February 23rd is going to be episode, 35, 36, 30, episode 37 of the Joe and Kat Chat series. And it's going to be Men and the Civil Rights Movement. And many of you all know the names we're probably going to discuss: Malcolm X, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., Fred Hampton, Marcus Garvey, Madiba, otherwise known as Nelson Mandela, W.E.B. Du Bois, Crispus Attucks, Benjamin Banneker, Thurgood Marshall, Frederick Douglass, Booker T. Washington, Nat Turner, Paul Robeson, Elijah McCoy, Dr. Charles Drew, Stephen Biko, Muhammad Ali. And let's go back to Jack Johnson. Let's go back to Paul Robeson. Paul Robeson might be the most complete human being to has ever walked the face of this earth. Political activist, lawyer, All-American college football player at Ohio State, 2-time All-American, played in the National Football League for a couple of years, was a classically trained opera singer, a classically trained actor, and a hyper polyglot. And I've really used that word last night. I'm going to use it again. A polyglot is a person that speaks multiple languages. When I mean multiple languages, we're talking, I think the number is 5. So a perfect example for all the Tottenham fans in the chat. Anybody that supports Tottenham, Tottenham's manager is Jose Mourinho. Jose Mourinho speaks, I think, 7 or 8 languages fluently. He is a hyper polyglot. One of my former professors at Wake Forest University, Dr. Olgierda Furmanek, was fluent, I think, in 7 languages and conversational in another 3. She's originally from Poland, had a master's degree in French and Spanish literature. She obviously knew English. I think she knew Russian, Czech, and Slovakian. And I think was conversational in Latin and a couple of other languages that I can't remember what the other ones were. Hyper polyglot. Paul Robeson, according to various sources of information, was fluent in 22 languages. 22. I mean, let's take it to another perspective. If you are fluent in, the United Nations has 6 languages. The 6 United Nations languages are English, Spanish, French, Arabic, Russian, and Chinese. And I'm not sure which branch of Chinese, but let's just say Mandarin. So Mandarin Chinese. If you're fluent in those 6, you can communicate with a whole lot of people around the world. Paul Robeson was fluent in 22 languages. Another person that many of you all might be familiar with is the recently retired, I wouldn't say recently retired, he's now recently enshrined in the National Basketball Association. Actually, no, the Basketball Hall of Fame, Dikembe Mutombo. Dikembe Mutombo is fluent in, I think, about 9 or 10 languages. Many of them are not commonly spoken African languages. Paul Robeson was fluent in 22 languages. So we're going to spend some time discussing him and his role in not only music, but the civil rights movement. So that's what I've got going on this month, in addition to these live and direct chats and everything else that we're going to put out for this month. Oh, I completely forgot. February 16th. February 16th is going to be an episode about books. Kat and I are going to discuss some books that we feel you all need to be reading. Kyle was in the chat last night. He said he ordered When Affirmative Action Was White by Dr. Ira Katz-Nelson. Thanks again for hooking up the knowledge train. Absolutely, Kyle, I'm here for you, sir. When Affirmative Action Was White is one of the best books you will ever want to read. I urge each of you to read it. And if you are a teacher at a school that is teaching predominantly white children, and you're trying to do something for Black History Month, that book will be an excellent place to start. Because again, I consistently talk about the United States needing a cultural autopsy. My chair is squeaking. I apologize for that. I keep talking about the United States needing a cultural autopsy. And when I mean a cultural autopsy, we need to dismantle the institutions that consistently produce white supremacists. We need to actively dismantle the institutions that create Karens. Because again, there is no difference between Carolyn Bryant, who is the white woman that eventually got Emmett Till killed. There's no difference between Carolyn Bryant and Central Park Amy or Barbecue Becky. There's no difference between any of them. Just as there is no discernible difference between Ku Klux Klan members in the 1830s, members of the Dixiecrat Party in the early 1940s and 1950s, and Trump supporters marching up and down Constitution Avenue and Independence Avenue almost a month ago, wearing MAGA hats and waving Trump flags and Confederate flags. There's no difference. How do our institutions consistently produce these types of people? How do we dismantle them? How do we reform them so we don't consistently create these types of people over and over and over again? And that's what I talk about when I say America needs a cultural autopsy. And I think much of that cultural autopsy comes from re-educating our youth. Schools. Not only what they are taught, but how they are taught and who teaches them. And if you're going to have a bunch of white women that are interested in upholding white supremacy and not willing to do the work necessary to have that cultural autopsy, to tell the entire history of the United States, good, bad, sordid, whatever, then your institutions and your schools, your social groups, your church groups, your brunch dates, your spin classes, your yoga sessions, all of them, or the dudes you go to the range on the weekend with and play paintball with, or the dudes on the swim team or the lacrosse team or the soccer team. They eventually become the guys that hang out at the country club. Or eventually become the old women that play bridge or shuffleboard, that never got out of their own bubble and never decided to engage with anybody that's different from them, to learn about them and understand them. And you continually create the same types of people over and over and over again, just with different names and different titles. But fundamentally, these become the same types of people. I've said everything I wanted to say for today. My time is up. I want to thank each and every one of you for watching. Again, tomorrow Episode 34 of the Joe and Cat Chat series, Women and the Civil Rights Movement. It's a lot to discuss, a whole lot to discuss, and we're going to get into it. We also have, Kat and I also have another major announcement that we are going to share with the world in about a week, maybe 10 days or so. And the Joe and Cat Chats podcast is coming. We're going to be on a satellite radio channel soon. And we're slowly beginning to make moves. So everybody that's been asking, hey, Joe, can we get a podcast? Can we get a podcast? Where can I download it? Don't worry, it's coming. I promise you. We're going to keep giving it to you. And the podcast is going to be there for each and every one of you. So if you don't want to see me and Kat on your phone or on your computer or wherever, you can listen to us. You can listen to us while you're going on your walks, while you're in the gym, while you're driving, wherever. So you can consistently get that type of socio-political education that you want and or need and or didn't know you wanted and or needed, because we'll give it to you anyway. My time's up. Thank you very much, everybody. Appreciate each and every one of you for being in the chat and participating today. I gotta go. Peace.